Ever heard of a government shutdown and wondered what it means? Well, you're not alone. A government shutdown is a complex political event that can have far-reaching effects. It happens when Congress, the legislative branch of the United States government, fails to pass the 12 annual appropriation bills needed to fund federal agencies. Without these bills, these agencies are unable to spend or obligate any money, effectively putting them in a state of limbo. But did you know, it's not always all or nothing? That's right. There can be partial government shutdowns as well. These occur when some, but not all, of the 12 appropriations bills are enacted, meaning only parts of the government are left unfunded. So in simple terms, a government shutdown is kind of like a business temporarily closing because it doesn't have the funds to continue operations. Government shutdowns are not new phenomena in the US. In fact, the history of these shutdowns is a complex tapestry woven into the fabric of American politics. The concept of government shutdowns began to take shape in the late 20th century under the Carter administration. In the fiscal year 1977, the US experienced its first series of funding gaps, although they didn't result in actual shutdowns. Fast forward to 1980, and a legal opinion by Attorney General Benjamin Civiletti led to the first actual shutdown of the government that lasted for a day. The most prolonged shutdown in US history, however, occurred in the winter of 1995 to 96 under the Clinton administration. It lasted for 21 days as President Clinton and the Republican Congress clashed over funding for Medicare, education, the environment, and public health in the upcoming fiscal year. More recently, in 2013, the Obama administration witnessed a 16-day shutdown due to disagreements over the Affordable Care Act. Then, during the Trump administration, the US saw another lengthy shutdown, this time spanning 35 days from December 2018 to January 2019. The main contention point was funding for a border wall with Mexico. In each instance, the shutdown ended when both sides of the political aisle found common ground, or at least a compromise they could live with. The impact of these shutdowns, however, varied. Some resulted in significant delays in government services, while others had a more minimal effect due to their shorter duration or limited scope. While the threat of a shutdown often looms, steps can be taken to avoid it. For example, in October 2023, Congress sidestepped a potential shutdown by passing a stopgap spending bill that funded federal agencies at the previous year's levels for 45 days. As you can see, government shutdowns have occurred several times in US history, each with its unique set of circumstances and consequences. Now, you might be wondering what exactly happens during a government shutdown. Well, it's a bit like watching a complex machine suddenly grind to a halt. The gears stop turning, the lights flicker, and the usual hum of activity becomes a stark silence. During a shutdown, many of the federal employees, the cogs in our machine if you will, are furloughed. This means they're temporarily laid off, and they're not allowed to work. Now, you might think this sounds like an unexpected vacation, but remember, while they're furloughed, they're also not getting paid. This can create a lot of financial uncertainty for these employees and their families. However, thanks to a law enacted in 2019, these workers do receive back pay when the shutdown ends, but not all parts of the machine stop. Essential services, the ones we can't do without, continue to function. Air traffic control, law enforcement, the kind of things that keep us safe and our country running, they keep going. But here's the kicker. The employees carrying out these vital services, they're not getting paid either, not until the shutdown ends. And what about benefits like Social Security and Medicare? These are lifelines for many of our citizens. Well, the good news is, these continue during a shutdown. They're authorized by laws that don't need annual approval, so they're not directly affected by the budgetary tug-of-war that causes a shutdown. Similarly, the Treasury can continue to pay interest on US Treasury debt during a shutdown. This is crucial in maintaining the financial reputation of the United States on the global stage. However, there are some services that get caught in the crossfire. Processing of applications for passports, small business loans, or government benefits may get delayed. There may be fewer food safety inspections. These are just some of the ways a shutdown can ripple out and touch the lives of everyday citizens. So, while some parts of the government continue to function, many employees and services are left in a state of limbo during a shutdown. It's a complex, often stressful situation that impacts people in a myriad of ways. Government shutdowns have far-reaching effects that extend beyond just the federal government. Their impacts ripple through our daily lives in ways we may not immediately realize. Let's take a closer look at these effects. One of the most immediate and noticeable impacts of a shutdown is the delay in processing applications for various services. Need a passport for that upcoming trip? Or maybe you're a budding entrepreneur seeking a small business loan. During a shutdown, these processes can grind to a halt, putting your plans on an indefinite hold. Similarly, applications for government benefits can also experience delays. This means that people who rely on these benefits may face uncertainty and hardship. It's a domino effect that can add stress and anxiety to an already challenging situation. But it's not just about paperwork and applications. A shutdown can also lead to fewer food safety inspections. This might sound trivial, but in reality, it's a vital service that helps ensure the food we consume is safe. A reduction in these inspections could potentially risk public health. On the other hand, there are certain operations that continue despite a shutdown. For instance, the Treasury continues to pay interest on U.S. Treasury debt. This is crucial to maintain the trust of investors and uphold the credibility of the U.S. in the global market. Additionally, some agencies can keep their doors open if they have unspent previously appropriated sums or income from fees. This means that not all government services come to a complete standstill. It's a bit like having a savings account to dip into when times get tough. However, these are merely stopgap measures. They're not sustainable in the long run and don't mitigate all the challenges a shutdown brings. The longer a shutdown continues, the more its effects compound, affecting not just the government but also the people it serves. As we can see, the effects of a government shutdown can be quite significant and impact various sectors of society. It's a complex issue with no easy solutions, underscoring the importance of effective governance and timely decision-making. The question then arises, how are shutdowns avoided or resolved? Well, there are several ways this can be done. For example, in October 2023, Congress circumvented a potential shutdown by passing what's known as a stopgap spending bill. This temporary measure allowed federal agencies to continue operating at the previous year's funding levels for a span of 45 days. This bought Congress some precious time to negotiate and enact the necessary appropriations bills. In addition to such legislative maneuvers, there are also administrative measures in place. The White House Office of Management and Budget, for instance, regularly posts detailed contingency plans for potential shutdowns. These plans outline which government functions are deemed essential and must continue, and which can be paused, ensuring a level of preparedness and minimizing disruption. So while government shutdowns can be disruptive, there are mechanisms in place to prevent them, or at least to minimize their impact. Thank you for watching our deep dive into government shutdowns with us. Your support is what boosts this channel and facilitates us to create content that is educational, informative, and engaging. If you enjoyed this video, we'd appreciate it if you could like it and share it with your friends and family. Haven't subscribed to Top 10 America yet? Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on our upcoming videos. We've got a lot more intriguing topics lined up for you. Stay inquisitive, continue learning, and we'll catch you in our next video.